I
Yep.
have.
Excuse me. Okay, so we're talking about the letters from Hans Jürgen.
I'm talking about that book.
Okay.
Booklet. He felt such a gratitude for all we were doing. My father and my grandmother and I packed up things. On some occasions, I know Dad sent care packages. And he sent shoes, and he sent hats, and whatever. You know, it's like he had lost his hat, so he had no hat. And they had no heat. You know, people were starving and freezing to death. And he couldn't express gratitude enough for all we were doing. And, you know, so they just bent over backwards trying to, and writing letters in such a loving fashion, you know.
Did anybody else send you letters with illustrations on it? Or is that pretty much...
I don't remember that. I had them send me with a little flower or a plant in. I had one couple I had kept here for when they had a group that came from north that lived right behind the dike. She even sent me pictures of the inside of her house where they lived just on inside of the dike on northern Germany. And even sent me a VHS. And of course I had to have it changed. I paid $25 to somebody over there in San Antonio. I was thinking maybe it was in Alamo Heights somewhere. I can't remember where that was, but it was a home. Somebody, you know, what they used over there is not the same as we do in producing a movie. So they showed me through their home, you know. And I came across some of their letters that just a few nights ago, and I want to write all those people because I miss the ones I'm not hearing from. Of course, some of them I'm not hearing from because they've died. The ones that I knew longest and best. But
Are you carrying on correspondence with anybody presently?
well, I've got to write one. I had her daughter over here in my home for 4 months while she was doing her practical work in veterinarian. I'd had her grandmother here along with a cousin of mine. And the two women were both living alone, and I'd been writing them ever since I met them. When I went in '82 with him, with the author of the book, and that's Bob Robinson, I took all their addresses and then I would write them. Well, they wrote me back, I'd write them back and forth. And so some lasted a long time, some didn't last so long, you know, but at any rate, I had always had a lot of addresses that I was writing to. And I just enjoyed getting letters, and they apparently did, and it was unusual for them to get letters that were written in German the way I could write them.
One day, would you like your letters to go to German Historical Society, the University of Texas Library? What do you want to have done with those? They shouldn't sit in somebody's closet necessarily.
Well, you know, one thing I did, though, after I got, when my mother-in-law died, she had a lot of stamps, and then some other person's stamps fell to her, who was apparently dealing in stamps with. Here we go on another story, you see. this man used to work at the telephone, and I control my tongue here. The post office, the man that was, and then when he died, my mother-in-law bought the house, and when she died, I had never looked in the trunk, but there was an army trunk that was full of stamps. Well, we had a deep basement, fully as deep as this, if not a little deeper. And after I was widowed, I used practically most of the money my father left me, and had some major repair done on that house. And I never had a drop of water in that basement. But we had a 1989, we had a terrific low temperature, and I had dropped everywhere there was water pipe. I had breaks, and the house was empty by that time because I had built this house by that time, and so we had to go down there and check. My oldest daughter, Annette, was with me last night, you know. Her husband was here, and thank goodness he was. Of course, I heard my son here too, but we went there to check on the house, and there was this, 2 feet of water in that basement. So then what? Well, I wonder what we all knew. There were stamps in there, but didn't know anything about them, really. I knew more than anybody else did, though, because it was the conversation I would have had, with my mother-in-law about it and everything. But some were stamps that she collected, but she never, as far as I could determine, she never made a collection as such that she put them in the albums or posted them or cataloged them in anything. And I didn't have any experience with that, but I marched over to, well, the first thing I did was to call a man I knew was a stamp collector. In fact, he had contacted me, wanting to know if I had such and such or something, Anyway, I called him, and he came up here, and I had a ping pong table in the garage. I put that out, and he said, no, I wouldn't throw them away. He said, get them out and spread them out and see what you got and get them dried.
Do you still have them?
Yes. I never have gotten so far that I wanted to, felt like I was ready to sell them. I want to sell them. I actually don't want my children to inherit them. Not that I want them not to have something. The point is, I don't like to have, everything that I want. I want everything to be as fair to everybody as possible. There's so many, and people just don't know all about it. I've got just a very little bit of help that some of the girls could, maybe do something with them. So if that doesn't happen, if I don't get...
It would be interesting to just to scan them so that you could then put them online and let people comment that, oh, I want that to fill my collection, or...
Well, I'm telling you this, there's a million. I'm honest about that. And
you don't have to.
And I
you
can
don't have to
kind
scan
of
them
tell some of them that are the mother-in-laws because of what they were in, and so on.
You don't have to scan them one at a time. You can.
No, why not? That'd be impossible anyway.
Yeah. Well,
No,
either way.
I have